and welcome to GM Talks. And today is gonna be a little bit GM Talk with some serious news about the chess world. I think the chess world is seriously changing right now in a lot of ways, and I would like to discuss that. So it's a little bit different format. We're also gonna see a nice, great attacking game, but first of all, we're gonna see some of the news that is changing the whole scene, the whole history of chess. It will never be the same, to be honest. First of all, the light news. It seems Hans Mogeniman and Carlsen, they're made up and they're not angry against each other anymore. And Magnus will even play Hans if they're paired in some tournament. So this big story is now gone. Another chess news story is that India is really on the rise with their own players. It's not like the US, who's got, well, to be honest, they sort of imported their success. There was a lot of money and good, attractive conditions, and that made a lot of players switch to the US. But India, they are really, well, they look like they are the future of chess. There are so many strong, talented players. There's put so much resources into chess in India, and well, they have a very huge population pool, so they will be able to keep it going with the momentum. If chess keeps the prestige that it got under Anand, I think it's the second most popular sport after cricket, but just a very distant second. I think there's now no stopping India. So we will there will be a feeling you get when you look to the east and not the west in the future. Then there is, of course, Russia and what's going on here. Since they decided to invade Ukraine, two of the strongest chess nations in the world are at war, and to say that it's a special op is ridiculous with the number of casualties we have in this war. So of course it's a full-blown war, and apart from nuclear devices, I think Russia gives it everything they got, and they seem to be losing. But it's also a sort of a proxy war, you could say, with NATO, because NATO countries, especially European and the US, provides a lot of military equipment for Ukraine. Otherwise, they would probably have lost long ago. Anyway, it's a very sad story. We hope that Russia will stop this aggression as soon as possible. But even if they do that, it will take years for the wounds to mend. And that has prompted a lot of Russian players. At the moment, they are not allowed to play in most tournaments. And if they are allowed to play, they're not invited to many tournaments. And if they play, they have to play under FIDE flag. And they, of course, cannot play team competitions. They cannot play in the European Championship. Well, they even switched to Asia, which makes no sense since most of the Russians in Russia lives in the western part of the country, not in the eastern part, which is like Siberia is bigger than Europe, but there lives like 20 million people. So it's very deserted, and to be honest, the climate is not very good in this area. Anyway, we have recently Vityugov, a 27-19 player, decided to switch to England, making England immediately a much stronger country. And of course, he will be missed in Russia. He is one of the players who could be on the national team. And he quit by saying, you can't defend yourself in another country. And that's also my opinion, to be honest. So I understand him. Anyway, we also have Shugirov, who's just gone. Sarana, all 2,700 players. We have Fedosev, also a 2,700 player. We have Alexenko, who was a part of the national team not long ago in Russia, who also switched to Austria. And we have Predke for Serbia and so on. So they are leaving, and of course it's not only, I think, that they cannot play right now and they probably do not like the war, but it's also that they probably will not be able to play a lot in the future, because I think most, especially in the US, when you listen to people, they will not forgive the Russians the next many years for what they did to Europe this time. So I'm pretty sure this is this will continue. One of the guys who did not leave as it is Grischuk. Even though he spoke out against the war, I think he and Dubov went on a march where they were sort of, and this, like Dubov explained, that okay, if you don't want to get beaten up by the police, you have to leave at a certain point, but you can go there, and it's sort of okay. Anyway, it's very strange for me to see this. We have India becoming probably the strongest nation in the world pretty soon, when they take over from the US, that unless they find more players, they can get to play for the country. And then we have Russia that used to be this powerhouse. I remember in the Olympiad in 2002 where they won in Slovenia, and this was this team with Kramnik and Kasparov and Halifman and so on, and it was just like, whoa, they're gonna win forever. And then they didn't win anymore in the Euro, and this, it seems like they had bad spirit in the team, and now they're disintegrating, and it's all sad, and I don't know where it will land, because as long as I remember, Russia has been a very, very, very strong chess nation, and of course they have a massive amount of very strong grandmasters. They have very good chess culture, but the future does not look like it's coming from Moscow anymore. They are also not been able to produce really big talents recently. So I don't know. I think the time of Russia as the leading chess nation will be over very soon, and already they are not very welcome a lot of places. Okay, we also gonna see this game. Grischuk playing. He won the Blitz tournament in Tata, Steel, Rapid, and Blitz, and this was the Blitz part against the Indian Vidit. That is, I think, is just hanging on to his seat at the national team. Will Gugus and Pragnanandar and Eric Gyasi and Nihal and these guys, they're it'll be tough to keep them behind you, and already it's failed, of course, with Gugus. Anyway, let's go into the game. And we are black here with Grischuk. Grischuk is a funny player because he likes to be in time trouble. He's like a perfectionist, the perfect perfectionist that always plays really, really slow, and then he's very good at blitzing it out, and it looks ridiculous somehow. This is the Nimso Indian. This is so far standard theory. Main move is knight f3. I've dabbled a little bit with a3 in blitz. Bishop d2 you can play. You can also take. You can also play knight Ge2 here. A lot of options. Vidit decided to take and play here, and White's idea is if it's allowed, he will play f3 and e4 and have a nice position. Rook e8 and castle and bishop d6, and this apparently does not threaten this yet, because the king can walk out. I've seen that this works for White in most lines. So he's not afraid yet. And now, of course, there's nothing to be afraid of. This is all very standard chess. Queen f3, c5, and we can say that White is hoping to get something going on the king side, and Black is more or less also pointing his pieces toward the king side and towards the center. So we have a full-fledged fight here. Rook a d1, very natural move, eyeing the the rook here. And by the way, when you play Blitz, you play a lot on instincts. So you're moving basically. Please notice that things like this does not work here. You just take back, and here it's already a total disaster. And of course this is losing instantly to this move. So of course you'll get 2 pieces, but that will never be enough. Anyway, this is a standard trick, and black gets the knight here. Okay, and bishop here. This, by the way, is the bishop that gives white some trouble sometimes in these positions, because it's locked in by the pawns on here. You could say the same thing about this one, but this defends this vital square and has control over this important strategic square. So they're just moving. And I'm not sure I like that move, because the knight on c7 was very passive, and it seems like white's position is not that great. Black sort of managed to get his pieces untangled, and he also has some ideas here on the queen side, creating a majority. As long as he keeps this square under very firm control, it will be very difficult for white to create counterplay. So this square is the key square in this position. Be free to prevent the pawn from moving. You might consider c4 here, but the natural move is of course to play this and then c4. And in general, if you take here, then white is still not controlling the square here. You can't take, actually, you lose a piece because the bishop is hanging. So you have to move, and it's of course covered, and you can take back with this pawn. And this is created a nice passed pawn, and we see that these guys at the moment are not doing so much. Queen a3, white is still hoping for something good to happen on the queen side, the king side, and black is not very impressed. He just plays h6, and this might be with the idea to go bishop b4. As long as you control this, white has almost no counterplay. So white is reshuffling the knight. It had pressure on this square, but it needs to help fighting for this square. But it's too late. While black is occupying it already, and having now 2 pieces here on this one. So, and this was of course not the idea. That is the good bishop, and we can see that. And this, by the way, this is why I chose the game, because it's a blitz game, and usually blitz games are not that high quality. But the rook lift is one of my favorite themes in chess. That is when you do like this here, or like this here, and stuff like that. So you get the rook into action. It's something like when you're a beginner and you start by playing your rear pawns up to move the rook out too early in the game. It's very natural for beginners to do that. But later on, when there's more space, more room on the board, when they have more space, it starts to make sense. So here comes the rook. And already black is really seriously attacking. We see that this is a weak square. If you go g3, then you have another problem. That's the white squares, because you don't have a white square bishop. And of course, in a blitz game, you just abandon this one. And queen h4 coming up. This might be coming, lots of things, and this is very, very dangerous, but I don't know what to do actually. Already it went very fast. We have this bishop here with a very nice long diagonal. The pawn is hanging here, so you can't really play e4, and queen a3 threatening f3. Have to cover, and that was, look at that, that's kind of nice technique. First you threaten the pawn here, and then when you take, because he can't take back with the rook, so he's basically losing 2 tempis, because the king will probably have to leave the fight anyway. Anyway, this is very classical, and here comes the other rook with another nice lift. Black is hoping for, and it's already gone. Of course, you can't. There's this one hanging, and after this move, white resigned. There is basically you're threatening this move because there's this one, and there's this one, and there's this one, and there's also this square, and I don't know what to defend here. It's not possible. Something like this, you just go here, right, and it will be mate very soon. So very nice little attacking game. Like out of nowhere, they were fighting about squares in the center, and out of nowhere, Black just drummed up a nice attack. Grischuk is very strong at that. I don't think he has any intention of leaving Russia. This would be strange. He used to be quite fond of Putin, actually, but I think I'm not sure he's that happy anymore. Also, it's strange because as a chess player that's been playing Olympiad and so on, we've seen Russians and Ukrainians be quite friendly all the time, actually. They're in general, they're competitors, but they're more like frenemies than they're enemies. So it's really sad the way the things turned out. Anyway, this was a different format. If you liked it, then please give me some comment. If you hated it, that's okay too. We have to try something, and we will probably be back with the normal format after this one. So thank you.